Welcome back. So following our previous discussions about Podman and just introducing some of the more modern approaches to Kubernetes builds and deployments, we wanted to go ahead and introduce CodeReady Containers. If Kubernetes is the project, OpenShift is a distribution, and CodeReady Containers is a version of OpenShift that we can actually run on our laptops, and we can get that moving and working for us in just a matter of a few minutes. So we'll be walking through that. We're going to take a look or another look, I should say, really at the Node.js Hello World app that we created in a previous video. And now we're going to be moving this into an OpenShift context and seeing how it works there for us. And so basically, if we take the starting point of looking at the repo itself, this is just a very primitive Scratch repo that we've created in a Docker file that we've looked at previously, but just to remind ourselves how it appears here. It's about as basic as it gets. But what we should be able to do is actually take this repo and go ahead and take a look at our OpenShift UI. We'll do all of our work here in the UI today, as opposed to the command line. The first thing we do is populate this repo URL. We find that it validates. It's looking for this Docker file. It's using this container port by default. And we should just basically be able to take, if I could type today, we should just be able to take this basic app name and run it from here. It should be creating a route to the application for us automatically. It's nice that it does a little bit of that lift for us from there. And so this will go ahead and get started. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'll do a brief look here. So this is a lighter blue that tells us that it's actually doing some work. And we should actually be able to see when we start looking under the resources, we should see the logs here starting to pull this. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video. And we'll come back when this piece is done and we'll step through what happened. And we're back. So what we should be looking for pretty much anytime we do a build is at the end it should show push successful, and indeed it does here. And so we'll actually step back through the log that we have here. So initially it clones the repo for us. It does the work that it needs to bring down the node image that we're basing this on. And it does similar steps to what we saw in the previous video as well around working with Podman from the Docker file. It takes those a little bit further as far as actually being able to commit that, that work into the OpenShift environment, and also pushes the image to the local image registry, which is, once again, quite a convenience to have all of that integrated into a single place. And so here we should be able to step back to the topology view. We see now it went from a light blue that we had before to a darker blue, showing that the build is complete. And we should actually be able to pull up the URL now and see that Hello World sample index file, and indeed we do. So that basically shows us the same things that we were doing from a Podman perspective and so forth, that we've been able to bring that into an OpenShift context really with almost no modifications whatsoever. And this sets the stage for us to be able to do pretty much anything else that we could imagine from a containerization perspective within OpenShift.